Hi, I'm Ruth Shapira, and I'm so glad you chose to listen today. Welcome to this episode of Inner Judaism, a podcast where you experience the spiritual beauty of Judaism and the meaning it has for your own life. What have been some of the turning points in your life? Can you put yourself in that place or time when you were faced with a decision that instinctively you knew had consequences for the path your life would take? In this episode, we'll explore some of the meaning of that through the lens of Judaism and ancient tradition known as Musar. Not to worry, you don't need to know about Musar or Judaism to benefit from listening. So please join me. Ready? First, it's important to prime your mind and your body to take in new information. Find a comfortable place to sit where you won't be interrupted. And so turn off or tune out other distractions. And as listeners know, turn on that portion of your brain that's open to new ideas and new ways of thinking. Let's just get into the present moment, and we can do that easily by recognizing and feeling our own breath. And just do that once or twice and feel your chest gently rising and falling. Relax into the rhythm of your breath, and you feel, even now, a little bit more at peace. So let's return to the idea of a turning point and what it might have meant in your life. In Jewish terms, that point when you're asked to make a choice is called a bechira point. So we're not talking about making a decision that is meaningless between, let's say, ordering that mocha coca latte with whipped cream or without, or about choosing where you'll go on vacation, whether it's the Bahamas or Bermuda. I mean, those are important, decisions you can say, but when making those kinds of choices, something else is at play. Your desire for sugar, your love of unspoiled beaches, or habits that you've had. Those are behind some of the choices that we make. And also, we make instinctive choices based on our needs. We need sleep, we need rest, we need to eat. So, we're not talking about those. We're talking about those decisions that have a lot more consequence. The bechira point is a lot weightier. It's a choice that has moral implications. A Musar master, Rebbe Eliyahu Dessler, says that free will is exercised and a valid choice is made only on the borderline between the forces of good and the forces of evil within that person. So I'm going to encourage you to get beyond labels here. It's not that good, the Santa Claus good, being angelic or being perfect, or that evil means you're acting like the devil or not following some of the commandments by lying or stealing or cheating. It's more about the forces within you that have you reach to the higher good or your baser instinct. So let's keep that in mind as we continue. The Tikkun Midot curriculum, it's a curriculum about Musar, says that we are in a bechira point when we sense a struggle between what we know is the right thing to do and what we feel we want to do. It says that ideally our feelings align with whatever is right, but until we reach a high level of spiritual growth, feelings are better taken as information and not as guides for action. So, what does this mean? It means if we give in to our impulses without even a pause, having a knee-jerk response, we aren't taking the time that's necessary to think through our course of action. What we experience in our lives can be compared to the 3 levels of our very souls. And these three levels are discussed in many Musar sources. Those levels are called Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. The soul is that inner spark within you. It's the voice that you often hear in your head. So the Nefesh is translated as the body, the baser soul, and it reflects a more instinctive way of operating. Some sources say it's the animalistic soul. Doesn't mean that we're purely animals, but it's the part of us that operates on instinct, just like animals operate on instinct. Not much thought beyond satisfying a need. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. Tired. I think it was Rabbi David Aaron who said that what this concept is, it's like the nefesh does what feels good. And the ruach is that part of our soul that reflects our personalities, our traits. It's the image we want to have, our egos, how we present ourselves to the world. Rabbi Aaron says that we should think of this as the ruach driving us to do what looks good. But the most elevated aspect of ourselves is the neshama. This is the aspect of ourselves that is at the highest level and urges us to elevate our everyday behavior. It's the seat of our intellectual capacity. This aspect of ourselves urges us to do what is good, speaking to a higher value, a moral calling, a sense of what we know to be innately right, what I referred to before as that direction towards the Yetzer HaTov. So in the opportunities we have to choose between different paths, we're presented with options to do that which might not feel good in the short term or look good to others, but instead aligns our soul with its intended purpose, our neshama, to bring us to a higher level of functioning. What have been the times in your life that you've had to make a crucial decision? And what informed your choice? Was it feeling good, looking good, or doing the right thing, doing good? And in these situations, what was the outcome afterwards? These are really important questions to answer. And there's not enough time in this podcast for me to pause and have you think about all this. But it would be very worthwhile for you to give yourself the time and the space to reflect on this and how you might answer some of these questions. Journal about it, and you will gain insight into your life's choices. In our Torah, we're called upon to choose life. In Deuteronomy 30:19, Hashem tells us, I call as witness against you today the heavens and the earth, life and death, hachayim v'hamavet. I place before you blessing and curse, habracha v'haklala. So choose life in order that you may stay alive, you and those who will come after you. That's a pretty weighty choice. And we learn that as humans, we have this gift of choice, of free will. We have the choice of either going to our base instinct, our nefesh, or to rise above them. We choose to live when we seek the best in us, our neshamas, not the worst. That's what it means to flourish in Judaism. So when Hashem asks us to choose between a bracha v'hakalala, the blessing and the curse, the blessing that's offered to us is when we can function beyond our instincts, beyond our instinctive nefesh, our instinctive ruach. And the curse is when we're driven by them. In the 18th century, Rabbi Menachem Nachum of Chernobyl explained that that verse is the essence of the Bechira point. But before we get to that point, he says, of choosing the right path, of one over the other, the Yetzer Hara over the Yetzer HaTov, choosing the blessing over the curse, we have to have awareness. And that's what I mentioned earlier. We can't be on automatic pilot, but we need to respect ourselves, to consider the options in our life carefully, and to be able to get in touch with our inner voice. We really won't experience spiritual growth if all we do is act on our previous habits, experience, and instinct. Only when we challenge ourselves in the ways described will we be able to raise ourselves higher. The challenges are there, calling out to us, calling out for us to raise ourselves up to the level of neshama. We can choose what our path will be, and that is what I wish for you. Thank you for listening and for involving yourself in the spiritual path of engagement and seeking out the deeper meaning that Judaism has for you. Connect with me at any time. You could write to me at innerjudaism@gmail.com. If you've liked what you've heard, I hope you'll come back and revisit. Please decide to rate this podcast so I'll know how I'm doing. Wishing you a glorious day and the ability to make this day better than yesterday.